Marketing is about values.
Nike didn't call me and sell me this in a catalog. I bought this swoosh because it's ingrained in my soul.
When you have a product that really resonates with customers, the word of mouth grows like wildfire.
Hey, and welcome back to the 10-Minute Marketer. I'm Logan Lyles, along with Marketing Max. We are recording this right on the other side of the Thanksgiving holiday. Max, how
My
was
Thanksgiving was super calm and chill, which was much needed after a crazy October and November. So I was very grateful to just sit around and watch a bunch of movies and watch a bunch of sports with family and just hang out. How about you guys?
Absolutely. It was chill. We got to not travel over Thanksgiving, which I always enjoy. And on the sports front, it was some good football over Thanksgiving. Actually, some decent, like kind of meaningful games over Thanksgiving, which I feel like we haven't had in a few years. So that was fun. So, and that actually dovetails into what I wanted to talk to you about. It has been a little while since we have done a mailbag segment here on the 10-Minute Marketer. We've done some past episodes where we took some listener and viewer questions. And on this one, I thought we would do like a mailbag family edition coming off of some family time I had over the Thanksgiving holiday. I had my brother in town, and he has been for over 10 years a golf caddy. And he's transitioning into being more of a full-time golf instructor. He's doing some online through an app. If you play golf a lot, I know you do, Max, so you've probably heard of this app called Skillist that is designed for kind of doing remote instruction with folks. And he's also doing some in-person instruction. He's part of an academy. He's an instructor, kind of in the rotation of instructors there. Might not be describing it exactly right. Well, he was picking my brain about like, how should I market myself? YouTube, Instagram. He's been doing some good stuff on Instagram and TikTok. And I was like, well, I am not the greatest B2C marketer. People who know me either from this show or on LinkedIn know that B2B is really my specialty. But I thought, hey, we could treat this as a mailbag question, family edition. And we've done some crossover stuff with sports. We talked about the Ryder Cup, which was a great episode a few back. Check that one out after you listen to us today. So Max, my question to you that came in through the quote unquote family mailbag is, if you were in my brother's shoes, what would you be thinking about in marketing yourself as a golfer?
Yeah, well, as anyone that listens to this show will know, I'm a huge golfer. I played golf in college. I walked onto arguably the worst D1 team in the country, but I still played Division I golf. I went to the Ryder Cup, which is my favorite all-time sporting event. I bet Paige Black a couple months ago. Obviously, Tiger Woods over here is my favorite all-time athlete by a long shot. And I happen to know a lot about this world of online golf instructors, golf coaches, if you will, just because half of my Instagram feed is golf. The approach that I would give your brother is twofold. And I think regardless if you are a golf coach, if you're a marketing agency, if you're a software owner, whatever it is, I think you can learn a lot from particularly the first strategy here, but the second one as well. The way that I've understood a lot of these golf coaches to get clients and to get customers is, or students, I should say, because they're coaching all through the Skillist app, is essentially just to post a daily golf tip on Instagram every single day. And I see a lot of golf instructors, they post the same tips over and over again, or they post, how to hit the same shot. That's kind of like standard. So within the kind of like first overall strategy, first overall umbrella of like posting tips every day, you want to post tips that are maybe not necessarily what everyone else is posting. Okay, duh, Max, what do you mean by that? Well, but you want to post tips that relate to a goal that people are trying to achieve. So every tip that I see on Instagram is like how to hit the ball 5 yards farther, or, how not to slice a drive. A slice is like when you hit a shot and it goes straight to the right, for those of you non-golfers. And so those are great, but I think a lot of golfers are not necessarily waking up every day going, oh, I don't want to slice it. They're simply saying, I want to break 90 as a score, or they're saying I want to break 80 as a score, or they're saying I don't want to embarrass myself. So like I would put at the top of every Instagram post, don't embarrass yourself with slices off the tee anymore with this one drill, right? Make it more like emotion based from the or from the start of the video for the content that you create. And I think if you do that every single day, you'll start to gain some traction. You can then use ManyChat, another tool that we've talked about a lot. And like halfway through the video, you can say like, by the way, if you want a personal instruction video, DM me the words personal, right? And we will, and I will send you a personal kind of critique. And that could be really cool with ManyChat because people could literally just upload a video of their swing and then you could write them back like, hey, keep your right arm in. And oh, by the way, do you want a free 30-minute video session or do you want like a critique of your swing paid on a regular basis? Because one of my friends has a golf coach that he sees through Skillist on a regular basis, but he doesn't actually have a live Zoom call with them. He just uploads a video of his swing, and then the guy sends a little 3 to 5 minute video back saying like, hey, bring your arms more inside or bring your foot more to the left when you start your swing or whatever it might be. So I think, posting content daily is the obvious answer. People who struggle to post content daily, pick one day of the week or one day of the month, record 15 videos, record 20 videos, get an accountability partner, and you start posting these things on a regular basis, or work with an agency like Z Studio is like an editing agency that's like $10 per editing or per editor, or like clip edited with like the subtitles and everything else. So that's kind of like the first overall strategy, right? Post content daily, tie it to an emotion, not just fix your slice, but like stop embarrassing yourself by hitting a slice on the first tee. Well, I don't want to be embarrassed. Like, of course I want to fix my slice, but I don't want to be embarrassed. So tie it to an emotion, to a specific outcome that's more emotion driven. And then use ManyChat to push people from the video as a watcher to the DMs, where you can actually start to push people $5 or $15 or $50 like, discounted swing consultation. That's the first strategy. I will pause there before I go to my second strategy. Thoughts, comments, questions, love it, hate it. Logan, what do you think is my first piece of advice for your brother?
I love that, man. I think that you're spot on. And I like what you built on, because he's started primarily, I think, with Instagram and TikTok videos. He's had some of those, kind of go viral, based on where he's at, follower count. So he's got some good organic reach. I haven't looked enough to see kind of, is he nailing the, emotion hook, that sort of thing. So I think that that's maybe good kind of next level of, he's been posting videos, that sort of stuff, but is the hook, are the titles or the captions, are they emotion based, and are they specific to certain things that someone would be experiencing? And again, I think that's applicable for any of us as marketers, right? We're putting out content, we're putting out how-to tips, those sorts of things, but more and more we've got to create content that other people aren't creating, answer questions that other people aren't answering, right? And we've got to tie it to real emotion. Good tip too about ManyChat. Do you know if that works with TikTok as well? If you can get people from the comments to follow up.
I think they just literally like 2 or 3 weeks ago dropped ManyChat for TikTok. I think literally as of like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they just introduced ManyChat for TikTok. So I would definitely check that out if you are
cool,
leaning on organic heavy these days.
I like that. That one, that makes it even better, right? Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing, I know he is offering a free swing analysis, but I think that there's maybe been a little bit more manual piece and maybe friction to that. So I think, leveraging something like ManyChat, which can help you with some of the automation to get those conversations going. Because that was one of the things I asked him, is like, what giveaway, what sort of lead magnet do you have to get someone to take the first step? So I like that, of doing a quick offer, maybe even before the free swing analysis, and the free swing analysis becomes the second step, which is kind of what you were recommending. So I think we're aligned there. Talk to me a little bit about this number 2 that you preface, that again could be applicable if you're a golf coach or marketing.
The other one is actually, I just happen to really be in the world of golf, and I thought this was kind of wild. I've been waiting for a good opportunity to mention this strategy on the podcast, and here we go. Here it is. So one of my friends opened up an indoor golf simulator club facility, whatever you want to call it, in South Florida. And there's basically 2 or 3 like indoor golf hitting bays. You hit into a screen and it looks at the spin ratio and the club angle where you hit the ball. And it shows on the screen your ball going left, right, far, duffing it, shanking it, whatever. And he was really struggling to get members for his membership. So it's like, I think it's $300 a month and you can go there unlimited. You could book unlimited 30-minute or hour-long sessions to hit balls. And especially with winter coming up, a lot of people don't like hitting golf balls outside in the cold. And we're in a group chat. One of my friends said, dude, why don't you reach out to people on LinkedIn offering a free 15-minute swing evaluation in person. And then once they're in person, then you can sell them the $300 a month subscription. And maybe you can include, a 15-minute swing evaluation every month or whatever it might be. And I think this is really interesting for coaches as well, because everyone is on Instagram. Like I mentioned, I open up Instagram and I see a million swing tips. I see stretches that golfers need. Like, it's such a red ocean on Instagram for golf coaches. I think being a golf coach on LinkedIn or maybe even Twitter or maybe even Snapchat on a platform that's not so obvious like Instagram and TikTok is for golf coaches, I think could be really, 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 really interesting and beneficial. And then you run the whole playbook like we've talked about on LinkedIn. If you didn't check out our last episode about how to generate 10 booked calls a week from LinkedIn, it's now our number one most watched episode as of now. It has like 8,000 views, I think. Go ahead and check that out. But like, you can run that full playbook. I just think getting on platforms that are a little bit more of a blue ocean is a huge missed opportunity for a lot of people. And I was literally on the phone with a guy this morning that said, I've never opened up Twitter in my life. And he's specifically targeting e-com brands. Like, he sells a service that targets e-com brands. And I said, dude, there's literally tens of thousands of e-com store owners on Twitter. Like, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Everyone's trying to find them on LinkedIn. There's not a lot of people advertising to them necessarily on Twitter. And so you got to go on Twitter. So finding the other platforms, I think is a huge, huge opportunity for your brother and for anyone that's maybe trying to find an easier path.
Yeah. And there again, man, I think that that's something applicable, whether you're a golf coach, you're a marketing agency, you're a SaaS company, right? Is, continue to go where it is obvious that your buyers are, which is probably why a lot of, your competition is there. So you can't just ignore that, right? But don't let that be your only strategy. Look at where else might they be. And I think LinkedIn is interesting there. My question would be like, how would you go about targeting people? Obviously, InMail is only going to get you so far, but you could start posting content, right? And you could start posting videos and repurpose those from the reels that you've created or TikToks. And sometimes like TikTok type content pops on LinkedIn because it stands out amongst the kind of talking head podcast videos, that sort of stuff. But what would your thoughts be on outreach and targeting on LinkedIn, since you can't necessarily go interest-based, right? Like you can on Meta and Instagram and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for targeting on LinkedIn, as we've talked about before on this show, sending connection requests to people who are your core target ICP is the best strategy to grow on LinkedIn, because when you start posting regularly, your content gets shown to your newest connection requests first. So there's a feature on LinkedIn where you can actually go and see who engages with a particular company page or who follows a particular company page. So I would go to like TaylorMade Golf's company page on LinkedIn, or I would go to a golf clothing manufacturer's page on LinkedIn and see who's liking and see who's commenting. Or maybe it's like literally your local driving range, your local golf course. They probably have a LinkedIn page because their employees need to say that they work there. And so go and see who likes that page, send connection requests to them, and then start posting content. And on LinkedIn, literally just put a little thing in front of your video that you would normally post to TikTok or that you'd normally post to Instagram and say, you're tired of the LinkedIn garbage content. You don't need more synergies. You need to fix your slice. You need to stop embarrassing yourself on the first tee when you hit that slice. So go ahead and use this drill to fix your slice so you don't embarrass yourself. You don't need any more synergies, or make a joke about how you know that LinkedIn is not necessarily for that. And I think you'd find a ton of success.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with the connection request plus content approach, like the C plus C approach to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is less interest based, not just in the targeting that you can do, but in the way the algorithm works. Consistently, when I comment on somebody's post, or even if I'm slacking, texting, or emailing with someone who is also a connection on LinkedIn, I swear, man, every time I am engaging with people on other platforms, when I go to LinkedIn, I see their posts first, right? And it's, we've got our email tied into LinkedIn. I don't know exactly how all that's working, but that plus your new connections, seeing your content. I also like the tip, man, about don't kind of avoid the fact that, hey, maybe it's a little awkward or even cringy to say, to post something that's not business content on LinkedIn. And maybe it's actually the opposite of cringy to do that on LinkedIn. And maybe it will be kind of refreshing to folks in the feed. So I actually really, really like that. One tool you could use if you want to automate some of the outreach that I've used personally and I've used with some of my clients at Demand Shift is called Dripify. It's Dripify.io, Dripify.io, can help you with some automation and outreach. And there's a number of ways that you can kind of select who you want to target there, and just run some connection request outreach. I'm not a big fan of LinkedIn automated outreach and then pitching people, but for this sake of automating outreach when you know who you want to connect with, and then you're just going to be putting out content that's valuable, that's then going to lead to the conversions. I think that that's a smart and less spammy way to use some outbound and cold outreach automation for, something that's actually going to be a higher conversion. And speaking of, less cringy, at least to me. So I like that. I think we've got some good tips, and I think it's going to be applicable for, not only my brother, other golf coaches, but hopefully a lot of other listeners as well. So this was a fun mailbag segment. For anybody who is into golf and you want to check out what we're talking about, look up my brother, Lincoln Lyles. So not Logan, but we've got all sorts of alliteration in the family. Lincoln Lyles on Skillist, or you can check him out, lincolnlylesgolf.com. So shout out to my brother. We've never done kind of a family edition, another sports focused episode here on the 10-Minute Marketer. So thanks for joining us. If you enjoy golf, hopefully this was helpful. If you're just a fan of marketing, hopefully this one was helpful regardless. Max, any final thoughts?
I think the last thing you mentioned about using Dripify is a great tip. And again, just leading with value. The cool thing about using an automated tool like Dripify or ManyChat, whether you're using ManyChat for Instagram and TikTok or Dripify or whatever you called it for LinkedIn, we use HeyGen for LinkedIn, HeyGen.ai or HeyGen.io or whatever. I think it's HeyGen, or not HeyGen. Why am I blanking out? HeyReach.io. I get those confused all the time. The cool thing is, because it takes you 2 seconds to watch a video and provide feedback, you can basically set up an automation where it's hey, send me your video, send me your swing video. You get the swing video sent to you. You send you send feedback, and then you could set up an automation 7 days later or 15 days later saying, hey, did you implement some of the changes I made? How did that go? To kind of automatically restart the conversation to check in and see, did you apply it? Did it work? Maybe it worked kind of well, or maybe you don't have time for it. Why don't we schedule a 30-minute call? I'll give you 50% off your first one. Here's my Skillist link. So I'm a really big fan of leading with value first and then checking in later to see, did that work well? If so, maybe there's an opportunity for us to work together. Beyond that, like and subscribe, whatever platform you're on, and we'll see you next week on the 10-Minute Marketer. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Max show. It takes me and my team hours to produce it every single week, but it only takes you 15 seconds to hit that share button and text it to a friend, drop it in a Slack group, or share it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or any of your favorite social platforms. I appreciate you taking the time to check out my content. Have an awesome day.